Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
What is your story, sister? What's your story? What is the story that you tell yourself about you? What is the story that you tell yourself about the world? What is the story or stories? So the story I used to say about myself is that nobody gets me. Nobody understands me, or people misunderstand me. They misunderstand my intention. They think my intention means, this thing, but really it means that. Nobody gets me. My story I ran for a long period of time was like, there's no other women that are really like me. I'm this anomaly. I'm not the girly girl. So I'll just kind of like not really hang around women often and just be around the guys more because that's comfortable for me. And women don't really get me because I'm not like them. And so what did that story do for me? Well, it blocked out a lot of people. It was very successful at that. It perpetuated the story, right? Perpetuated the story. And I was much more attached to that story than I was to changing the story. Much more attached to that story. See, because the story that we tell ourselves the most is the one that we believe the most. The story that we tell ourselves the most is the story that we believe the most. And so because I believe that to be true, I let very, very few people into my life. Now, I do that same thing today, but it's for a different reason. It's for the reason of people that are allowed into my circle, and it gets smaller and smaller, but they must be people that inspire me, love me, support me, uplift me. And if not, then there's just what's true for me, what works for me based on what I want, then I just really don't, I shouldn't say just. No just. I simply do not have any space for that person. That's it. But it's different. Back then, it was I don't want to let anyone in because they're just not going to really get me, and this is going to be painful, or they're just going to reject me, so I'll just kind of reject them first. The story that we tell ourselves the most is the story that we believe the most. And there's this crazy thing about stories. Two crazy things. Number one, we often never actually examine the stories. So stories are simply another way of saying like a thought, right? It's something we believe to be true. Story. Story we tell ourselves. So when I used to tell the story of, well, women just don't get me because I'm not like them. Just people. People don't get me. Let's make it big and general, right? People. People just don't get me. I never actually even inquired about that thought. So from Byron Katie's The Work, from her book, Loving What Is, like really just question, go, wait a second, is that really true? Is that really true? And not for the sake of, like I'm wrong, or I'm an idiot, or why do I think this way, or what's wrong with me, but just simply of like just a curiosity. I wonder if that's true. Let me just kind of like examine that. Let me just kind of like be outside of that. And that's hard, right? Because when that emotion is so attached to that, and there's an attachment to that thought, that story, which again, we tell ourselves enough and it's like, no, it's definitely true, right? I think I mentioned this in a recent podcast, but I had this conversation with my husband, Ed. And we were just, discussing people that often on social media that pretend to be someone who they're not. Because there's people that we know and then it's only just like a certain side that's shown. And that's fine. There's no judgment. It's just what is. But, for us that know them, we see, right? And I think that I've been around the block enough here at 48 years old and had enough life experiences and enough, a lot of shit in my life that my bullshit detector is super high. And so I find I can even look at a post and just be like, something's really off there. It doesn't really seem authentic. But yet, if we tell that story enough, we believe it to be true. So we never often even inquire, just go, wait a second, is that thought even true? Is that story even true? Now, it depends on what you want, right? Because for some, and when I was in my 20s, I was much more attached to the story of nobody gets me. That's what I wanted. I didn't want people to be let in. I had me and my, at the time, boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I was always working, bunch of jobs. I knew what I wanted. Had, a couple kind of closer friends, and then everybody else can just fuck right off. That's what I want. Like, truly, that's what I wanted at the time. But, if your story is getting in the way of what you want, see, back then I was much more attached to that outcome. That's the result I wanted. I was much more committed to the story of struggle than I was committed to change. And for you, you could be in that space, sister, and that's okay. That's just being honest. But so here's the rub. If you want something different, if there is a different outcome, then I'm encouraging you just to simply examine and inquire about your story. Is that true? You would think that me and Byron Katie are tight by how many times that I mention her book and her work, but it is her work, which is called The Work or Inquiry, is truly fucking life-changing. And it's interesting, some of the women that are inside the sisterhood, which we've done a few trainings in this already, and that's an online coaching program that I created through a Facebook group about 4 months ago. Incredible, the women that are in that powerful group of women that are committed to change, committed to doing the work and the work, the ones that have actually done that, and how they go holy shit, I know. It's this crazy thing about these things that I teach you here in the podcast, that I teach in the sister, that I teach with my clients, that I teach at live events. They fucking work. But here's the thing. You gotta do them. You must do them. Getting the book and not actually reading it will not get you anywhere. Doing the book and reading it but not actually doing the work, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheets, will get you nowhere. Downloading the audio on your phone, on Audibles, and then never listening to it is not going to get you anywhere. You have to actually do the work. So what is the story that you tell yourself, sister? Because yes, if we tell that enough, we believe that bullshit, because often it is, to be true. We believe it to be true. So here's your more tip for today. What is the story that you say about yourself? What's the story that you tell yourself? I am, fill in the blank. Or people don't. Or I'm not. Whatever that is true for you. What's the story you tell yourself? Open up your journal and write that down. And then for the millionth fucking time, go read Loving What Is. Even better, go listen to the audio. You get to hear it. And lovely Byron Katie's voice. Print up the Judge Your Neighbor worksheets. So links to all these things when you listen to the audio, when you read the book, and actually do this work. Really examine and inquire these thoughts. It's huge, sister. It's huge. Because here's the biggest piece of this. If you don't like the story that you're currently telling yourself, you have the power to create a new story. My story 5 years ago, if I have this message and who the fuck am I to lead it, is now of I am the one to lead. I am the one to lead these women around the world. To show them what power truly is. To see transformations in their marriage, with their body, with their kids, with their business. That's it. I am that leader. I fucking own that because I wrote in a story about it. I chose it. I've done the work. I continue to do all of this work. So what is the story that you tell yourself? And then go listen to the audio, go read the book, and actually start to do the work and really examine and inquire about that thought. And then here's your last part, the more tip. Join the fucking sisterhood. This is a no-brainer. I've set this up as a 7-day free trial. So there is zero risk for you to pop in for 7 days and see if it's for you. If you listen to this podcast, you're going to see that it is. And I really created this. There were so many that wanted to coach with me, but just simply weren't at the place financially where they can invest in my group masterminds, can invest in my one-on-one coaching, but yet want access to me. So that's why I created this. It's all set up through a Facebook group. It's easy to access, phenomenal weekly group trainings, daily sisterhood tips. So to get your 7-day free trial, which is for you, sister, for you, because I know you've heard this 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times. Today is the day. So head over to drkarenosborne.com/sisterhood. You're going to see the link as well in the show notes, and you'll sign up for your free trial today. So I will talk the next episode. A life of more. It's just one step away from me doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborne.com/newsletter.